Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Chasing Labels, and this is another physical media review here. This time we are getting some promotional copies of a couple new Imprint titles that are coming soon here in the month of July of 2026. We'll be covering two releases from this month. And once again, if you don't know what Imprint is, it's a physical media label out of Australia, and Viavision's the parent company. And Imprint came out some years back ago, and have put out a lot of great releases, a lot of solid stuff, and have been consistent. I mean, they continue to put out stuff that is hard to find sometimes. I mean, they put out HUD recently, and now of course Criterion's been put out, but before them, I mean, they put out HUD instead. That was one we've been waiting on for a while, and there's a lot of examples, but they do great work at Imprint. And I think I got a couple more solid releases here for you tonight to talk about. The first one we're going to talk about intrigued me. I got this in, and I was like, really, I was happy I got it because uh, the premise seemed interesting. The cast is amazing, but it's from a filmmaker that I'm not always impressed by. Not, and the thing is, he's mostly primarily known as a writer, but that's David Kep. David Kep, who is written on things like Jurassic Park. Like he's worked with Spielberg a bunch of times. He's got some hits and misses. The movie we're talking about is a movie he did called The Trigger Effect. This was, I believe, his directorial debut, and this came out in 1996, and it stars Kyle MacLachlan, Elizabeth Shue, the third in that trio, if I can pull it up here, Dermot Mulroney, which I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. Let me make sure I'm right on this, but I feel like I've seen this actor in a bunch of things. But like Kyle MacLachlan, him, he's of course Twin Peaks, multiple David Lynch projects, and Elizabeth Shue, she was always a crush of mine in the 80s with like The Karate Kid and other things, Back to the Future, things like that. But she's always been kind of a crush of mine. But back to what I was saying initially, David Kep, who's mostly primarily known as a writer, he's directed a few things through the years. I would say the only one of his directed movies that I think that I've probably had a fondness for is Premium Rush, which stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's like it's a biker, like a bike riding movie. Like he's like a bike messenger in New York, and he gets caught up in like a crime scam. Criminals are after him. Michael Shannon's one of the criminals. They're trying to get to him. He's got something that they need, and he did Stir of Echoes as well. That one's pretty solid. But yeah, he's definitely more known for his writing than his directing. And so I was really interested in checking this out. And the premise is that this blackout happens, and we have Kyle MacLachlan and Elizabeth Shue's character, who are husband and wife, have a small child, and then this blackout happens, and really the movie's like it's kind of plotless. It's one of them things where a scenario happens, and then you experience people going through this particular thing. Like, it's a blackout. What do people do when all the the electronics things that they're used to having, the conveniences of them things, are then stripped away? What are the human reactions to these things? And that's really the movie. I mean, you go through different scenarios where the power goes out, and then you got people trying to loot places, steal things from people, break into houses, and it's kind of a loose thing there. And really, it's about the psychological effects of people. So we get a lot of. I think the movie really wants to play out a lot of scenarios like that, and it's really a comment on culture, I think. and about how people become so reliant on these things, and when you get so reliant on something like that, it can cause you to go into panic and do things you would never typically see yourself doing. Um, the thing is with this movie though is that I feel like it's so kind of weirdly tone deaf. Like it doesn't know what tone that it wants to go for. I think it wants to be a serious movie about a serious topic, but a lot of times it comes off as almost laughable how some of these things turn out, and how they're acted. It almost feels like the movie's satirical, like it's talking about it and it's kind of playing it over the top, almost melodramatic in a lot of ways, and feels like that it's if that was how the movie was, what the movie was trying to do, I would say I give this movie a bump up. But the movie, I don't think sincerely trying to be satirical. I think it's trying to play it straight, and it's just laughable. Some of this movie, I do still think it's kind of a solid. It's an okay watch. It's not a bad movie. It's just a movie that wasn't necessarily executed well. The writing wasn't terrible, but it just didn't have the right direction. I think this shows a lot of like David Koeff's like ability to not necessarily know how to get the right performances out of his actors in this movie, because it just feels, some of it just feels kind of laughable, but and some of it might be the writing too. But I think that the ideas are there. I just think that it comes off different than I think it was intended. But um, this particular release did get some new extras. That's one thing I really like about Imprint is they're always adding new extras. You do get you get the audio commentary with David Koepp from 2026, so a brand new commentary. You get a feature on here I really liked with actor Richard T. Jones. He was a character in the story that presents a lot of. He comes back in the story throughout the movie, and it plays some of the most interesting parts in the movie are involving him. But you get a nice kind of video interview essay kind of thing with him about his experience on this movie. You get another kind of interview with the production designer called Building the World of the Trigger Effect. And then you get some archival interviews with Kyle MacLachlan, Elizabeth Shue, and David Koepp. So, I mean, if you're interested in this film, this is definitely probably the best release of this you're going to get on Blu-ray here. Pulling it out of its slipcase here. Got the inner artwork. And there. Get some there. It's a solid movie. It's an okay movie. I think depending on your mindset about what the movie, how the movie is playing out is whether you like the movie or not. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's kind of an okay middle tier movie, but if you like it, Imprint put out a good release of it. So, the other release I'm going to talk about is one I'm very fond of, and I'm really glad I got this. And it's a movie that I grew up watching a lot. I don't think I've watched it in many years since maybe sometime on cable. And like watching something on cable is always a different experience than watching it on physical media or watching theater, like, because the commercials and sometimes cable takes out things and they kind of change the viewing experience. But this particular film is one that I've wanted to get back around to, I think subconsciously, for a long time. And that's the 1993 film, A Bronx Tale, directed by Robert De Niro. He's also in the film. And he's one of the co-leads, but I would say he's Chaz Palminteri is the lead of this movie. I mean, he's the man in here. Chaz Palminteri here is the man, and he's also the writer of the film, and he's also, I mean, this story is loosely based on a lot of his experiences, and he does a one-man show with this story still today. And there is a feature, I believe, on this about his one-man show. But he does have there's a lot of good features on here. But A Bronx Tale came out in 1993, directed by Robert De Niro. One of the two films he's directed, he did this and The Good Shepherd. This is the better movie of the two he's directed. The Good Shepherd's fine. It's kind of a long, like a slow burn. It's okay. It was a fine movie, but I think this is like, if you want to say, it's almost like a Charles Lawton kind of thing. Like, if Charles Lawton only got to direct one movie, and he directed one of the best movies of all time, with Night of the Hunter. And if this was the only movie that De Niro ever directed as an actor, it's a really good movie. It's really good. It's what I love about it. And I've talked about this, especially with my friend Dan Skip Allen, who's guested on some of our shows on here. He's a big fan of crime gangster films, Italian gangster films. And I've spoken about how I've kind of lost my affinity for that genre. Not that I have anything against like mob movies or crime movies, but I used to be really into them early on in my film going, in my film watching. Excuse me. And I think I burned it out. I burned my love for that genre out pretty early on. I love The Departed. I love a few of these types of movies, but I'm not like drawn to them like I used to be. I think I just kind of got kind of like burned out of the tropes of Italian gangster movies. And but this particular one, though, what I love about it so much is that it's not really focused on the lifestyle of being a gangster, being a mobster, an Italian mobster. It's more a coming of age story. It's set in that environment, but it's a coming of age story for a young kid who grows up in that environment and sees these things and befriends kind of the leader of the area that he lives in. And then his father he's between him and his father about influences of his life growing up. So yeah, Chaz Palminteri and Robert De Niro plays the father of a young kid who, when the story starts, I believe is like 9. He's like 7, 8 or 9 years old, I believe. But the kid's name is Colagiuri, or age 9. Yeah, he was 9, and then later on they skip to age 17, and he's played by Lilo Brancanto, and he's really great. He looks like a young De Niro for sure, but yeah, you get a little bit of the young side of this kid, and then they jump up to his year 17 halfway through the film. And what I love a lot about this movie is that you got Sonny, that Chaz Palminteri plays, and he's like the leader of his clan he's the leader of the organization. He's the head guy in the area. And yeah, he comes off as this like, head honcho type. He doesn't trust anybody. He's a hard man, but after he befriends this kid because of reasons, I won't tell the whole story. I want you guys to watch it if you've never seen it, and he kind of becomes his surrogate father, even though he has a father. He becomes his second father, and he kind of, this kid looks up to him. He sees a different side of the world through Sonny, and at the same time, he's getting like the traditional father advice from Robert De Niro, who does not want him to be a part of that world that Sonny's a part of. So I love the back and forth. I love the growth in the character of Sonny. I think that character is so great. Honestly, I wish it could have gotten more recognition at the time, because you don't see the cliche. You see a man who is built for this environment. This is the path he chose, and he's really good at it. But he's also got a softer side, and he's also somebody that is obviously befriending this kid. He's lonely. He maybe even wanted to be a father himself, but he never met the right woman because he doesn't trust anybody. And so he kind of like takes this kid in as his son. So it's like kind of sweet, but he's not like the greatest guy. And some of my favorite characters are characters like that are this kind of morally gray area where that they're like doing crime, they've hurt people, but you can tell that they also having they have a sensitive side. There's another side to them that's there, that's just kind of hardened behind the walls. So I love characters like that, and this is one of the better ones that I've seen in my years as a film watcher. Yeah, this is just a great movie, man. It's sweet. It's it's got its violent moments at times. It can have that kind of moments from the gangster movie genre, and then there's just there's some great themes in here of excuse me, I'm losing my voice, of just deciding on how you want to live your life, and what like choosing the right influences, and right seeing like that, like the Sonny character who isn't necessarily looking out for his best interests all the time. I mean, he is and he isn't. There's a scene in the movie where it took one little mistake for him to turn his back on this kid for a second. It's but there's a lot of great themes in here. Great movie. This does come in a 4K. This is the definitive release, unless this comes out somewhere else and does something more. This is a definitive release. You get the nice hard box cigarette top here, and it's a 4K. Looks great. You do get some, which this was what was surprising to me. They got an interview with Robert De Niro in here. New interview with Chaz Parmentary. Jane Rosenthal, who's one of the producers, producing partners with Robert De Niro, is interviewed as well, along with actress Catherine Nardarku. I can't, I'm not good at pronouncing shit. On The Bronx Tale. And then there's some archival interviews and archival making of features on the discs. So it really is. It's kind of it's going to be the premium release for this thing here. Here's the disc. I'll pull that out first. There's some other goodies in here. Go there. You got the 4K, and then you got your Blu-ray that's got all your features on it. And then on the inside here, you do get a nice hardback book that's got the script in it. It is the script for A Bronx Tale. So really cool thing here. Love it. Yeah, guys. I mean, it's a really kind of an all-time favorite for me. I really love, out of this genre, this is one of my favorites of this kind of genre. And I love a good coming of age movie. I think coming of age movies just can always kind of bring you back, You get a good voiceover kid talking about his past, things like, I love stuff like that. It gets me. But them are the two releases from July that I got to talk with you guys about. They're both solid releases. The Bronx Tale release, for me, because of the movie more than anything, is the premium release there. You got to get it. If you like the movie, you got to get it. Trigger Effect is an okay movie, but it is a great. It's another good release. I mean, it's a solid release. There's good features. It's a good package. It's worth getting if you like the movie. But that is going to be it for this Imprint Blu-ray review. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please go to Chasing Labels and subscribe. Subscribe to us on our audio platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Follow us there. Leave some star ratings. Leave some comments, please. We'd love to hear from you. And I'll see you around on the next video. Goodbye.